East Hampton Union Free School District, you are live.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to open the meeting?
Make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands.
Thank you all very much. And we're going to open tonight's meeting with a public hearing.
Yep, Mr. Schneider is going to present on the repair reserve. Then the board will be asked to vote on it in the regular meeting.
All right, thanks. Okay. Great start.
Let's see if it's moving with the screen.
I'm voting no.
Looks good until it's
Okay. Sorry about that. All right, well, we're here tonight to discuss the next round of our use of repair reserve. Greg Covell, our fabulous director of facilities, is here as well. The repair reserve has been an incredible resource for Greg and Ab and I to be able to recommend to you certain repairs that need to happen in the district. The board and the public will remember that in November, you authorized just shy of $1 million of repair. We are almost done with every one of those projects. The district is well served by getting those things done. Repairs that we make today don't become major capital expenditures in the future. So we're here tonight for another round of repair reserves. Repair reserve projects. Just as a reminder, the voters approved the repair reserve in May of 2022. As of May of 2023, there's just over $1 million remaining in the reserve. There's an item on the resolution. There's an item on your agenda later on this evening to authorize us to put additional funds into the repair reserve after we close our books, which will happen sometime in late summer. It's an estimate as to how much we'll have available for the repair reserve. Obviously, the final number in the resolution will be a function of what the auditors say and agree with our calculations for where they are. Repair, to define it, the law says these 4 words: decayed, deteriorated, weathered, broken, torn, inoperable. That's the magic text. So again, 3 easy steps to access the repair reserve. Greg, Adam, and I have identified projects that are needed to be done. You're now at number 2, holding the public hearing, and then you have the authority to authorize the use of the repair reserve, and there's an item on your agenda for later on this evening. So let's get into the projects. The first is radio communication devices. I know, JP, this is a project that is great importance to you and to all others. The existing radio equipment we have is not sufficient to be able to not only connect this school, this district, the schools in the district, to emergency operators, but also to allow us to be able to contact other schools in times of emergency when the telephone system may not work. So we'd like to spend some money to upgrade our current system, repair what's not functioning. We have certain vehicles that have served the district well. They are at the end of their useful life. We also have one of our heavy duty work trucks. You can see that's the bed. It's got holes, it's rusting. So we'd like to get some new vehicles. We would like to get this bed replaced. The plan basically is that we take these old vehicles, make them available for our auto shop program. So the students can learn by taking apart older vehicles and figuring out how they can be repaired. In our gymnasium lighting, Greg has worked out a great program where we will be able to actually do this work in-house. We'll buy the lights. We have staff on hand who are capable of replacing them. The lights, the gym will be much brighter. The dark spots that are currently on the playing floor will go away with these new lights. We have a new emergency notification system that we'd like to replace our old one with, which has been having inconsistent problems. The new system, and it's hard to see with the Zoom screen there, staff are going to have a card that looks something like this. It's going to have a little button, and if there's a problem, emergency, all they have to do is click the button a certain number of times, and it automatically puts us into a lockout or notified of emergencies. You can see this video, still the video of how it's working there. Duct cleaning here at East Hampton High School. This is a periodic repair that needs to be made. The ducts are everywhere in this building. So we want to bring in a company to have them cleaned out to make sure the system continues to operate at an optimal level.
We usually do that on a rotating basis for the
We do that
different
rotating
buildings,
basis,
right?
yes,
So
we
it's
did the
high school
middle
start.
school last year. It's the high school's turn. It's
Okay.
been, you know how many years it's been since we last did it?
No, but the person would recommend that every 4 years, at least at a minimum.
So
Okay.
it's been a while. We have a univent coil system here that are ceiling mounted. These are the ones in the basement, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
And you can see they're decaying over time, so we're getting leaks of fluid on the floor of the basement that shouldn't be happening, so we want to replace that. We'd like to replace select ceiling tiles that are worn or stained. It's a little hard to appreciate in this picture, but this entire ceiling is basically sagging down. And so we'd like to be able to replace this to tighten it up and have it function better. We had a great, with the November repair reserve, we had a great ability to put fencing along our property line over here. We would like to now continue that for the length of our property line. We did as much fence as we had money available to do. We'd like to appropriate additional funds now to continue that fence line. It's been pretty successful. Our football storage locker has seen better days. It's a great place for animals to live. Do not want it to be a great place for animals to live. So we'd like to replace that with a new football storage locker. The JV baseball backstop. The JV baseball backstop is old, it's rusted, it's a safety hazard. It has no overhead coverage as well, so we want to have that repaired, replaced. There's select interior doors and exterior doors and hardware, both at the high school and at John Marshall. You can see the detail in this picture we have here, where there's just rust and buildup. The doors are not making not meeting securely. You can see this other photo here. The doors are scratched up. They're broken, so we want to replace those. Here, at the middle school, you can see the detail here of whatever it is that's growing on the insulation around the chiller lines needs to be replaced. The gymnasium bleachers in the middle school, since we're putting in new lockers, it's time for us to maybe get some new bleachers as well. So they're really at the end of their useful life cycle. There's cracks and splinters, there's warping, so we think we can replace them and repair them to get something better. There's a whole system at the middle school, which we've talked about a little bit, that related to why the gym floor became warped. Basically, this duct system that's in the ceiling has leaked over time because the metal itself is actually corroding, correct?
Yeah, at the bottom, so it can't drain properly, it kind of goes backwards into the bottom of that unit, and that's when it leaks down onto the floor.
Right, which then causes rut, which then relates to rust, which then we get leaks on the floor, which then led to a lump that developed on the floor that was about this tall, covered by insurance, but it's going to happen again if we don't get this thing fixed. So we need to have it repaired. The gymnasium divider at I'm sure many of you have seen the gym curtain that we installed here at the high school. I think it's been fairly successful. I know Kathy, you're very happy with it, correct? We'd like to do that at the middle school and John Marshall as well. Those are our projects. I know we went through that real quick, but I know people like the see them. So.
No, I think for the board to know, I mean, obviously this is being done to keep up our regular maintenance. You let too many of these things go too long and you're then paying and buying new things. And I think this will help maintain our buildings, our facilities, and whatnot.
It was the idea behind starting the repair there.
It's a wonderful tool, and thanks to the board and the support from the voters, we're able to do that. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Can I have a motion from the board? Does anybody have any questions? I think we're all done with questions, right? We have a motion to close the hearing, and then do we want a separate motion, Carrie, to open again?
Yes,
Okay.
please. I'll make a motion for this.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And can I have a motion to reopen the meeting?
Make a motion. Second.
All in favor?
I'm sorry, who was the first?
Justine and
Jack, you were first. Thank you.
Okay. We're on the regular portion of the meeting. And we're at public comment.
You're right.
Right. Oh, so we're not gonna do the, okay. Okay, all right, I'll turn the presentation over to you.
All right, thanks, JP. So, welcome. I know there's a lot of people here, and we're gonna get to our retirement celebration shortly. A proposal came to the Board of Education a few months back from Mr. John Edwards regarding raising money and a significant donation to pay for lighting on our turf field. So we are at that point where the board needs to ultimately decide what are we going forward with it, or we're not, because I know Mr. Edwards has been patient about waiting regarding raising the money. My understanding and through our consultation with our attorneys is this is since it is a donation, it would be for the board to accept the donation when it's given to us and ultimately be able to go through the process through S&D of putting the lights in. I know there are a lot of things, a lot of different points. I know Kathy and I talked, I don't know if you want to say, I mean, you from the beginning, Kathy has been involved. And I know whatnot about the positives about it, some of the stresses in the past year we've discussed as a community.
And I've had some open dialogue with the Cullum family, and the utmost respect for my former math teacher who says I still owe him math homework, but I don't. I dealt with this when I first became an athletic administrator in West Hampton Beach. First order of business was for us to work with the community and put up lights. Musco is in the forefront of light development. They've worked with Dark Skies. They've worked with every company. Anytime you go to, whether it's MetLife or Yankee Stadium or to go see the Mets play, you will see those are all Musco lighting. And the technology, the energy efficiency is paramount. I know that we have spoken publicly about a board policy. If this is the case, if this is the board's decision, in being respectful to our neighbors, because they are our neighbors and we want to work with them to be the best for everyone involved.
A few questions came up. I received an email asking some questions about the system and whatnot. So I think I should read them and share them publicly with the board. Obviously there were questions about field use and what times at nights. Kathy just answered that. I think that's something that with the Board of Education will determine with the facilities, with the Board of Ed's Facilities Committee, and make policy. We have a policy, again, I think I brought that up last meeting regarding the sign in the front of the building. The other question was electrical costs. This is from Musco, assuming the hourly electrical cost of 0.16 or 16 cents per kilowatt hour. The cost per hour to operate the lights would be $8.80 per hour. The overall cost would depend on any additional utility fees or demand charges. Somebody also asked, would that be coming out of the athletic budget? Our energy costs come out of facilities. It's a general energy cost. So the public knows that. Maintenance question was brought up of maintaining the lights. I believe there would be 4 towers in my conversation with Musco. The Musco system includes a 25-year parts and labor warranty. During the warranty period, the district does not incur any maintenance costs unless there is something not covered under the warranty, like vandalism or extreme weather, which would be most likely covered by insurance. I just wanted the board to make sure they heard that. I don't know how you
What's he
discuss it. Yeah,
Does
people comment.
the public have a comment? Like speak? Good.
I am Kate Cullum Gibbons, and I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of my father, Ed Cullum, my husband, Tom Gibbons, and myself. My family owns the property that runs alongside the practice football fields and the turf field. For over 100 years and many generations, there have been Cullums living on this property. Many of you have heard this before, but for those who haven't, the high school became our family's neighbor in 1970. I've been a teacher at John Marshall for the last 29 years, and subdividing my parents' property was the way that I could remain in this community, my hometown, and continue my career as an elementary school teacher. I grew up with and currently hear the sounds of teams practicing, coaches encouraging athletes, parents cheering, and bonnets celebrating their victories. As a family, we are entirely in support of the children and the youth of this community and their participation in athletics. Many in our family have worked with the children of this community, and many of us have played sports on these fields. We are here tonight to say that we are not in support of lights on the turf due to the impact it would have on our lives. It's not only the lights on the field that are a concern for us, but it's all the other things that come with it. These events include additional noise, situations, and behaviors, which you're well aware of from previous discussions that I won't go into now, that we are currently experiencing in the day, and now these situations and behaviors would be extending into the evening hours. I ask you, please do not mistake our lack of support for the lights on the turf as not being supportive of the youth of this community. That has been betrayed or portrayed previously. Years ago, there were temporary lights put up on the soccer fields. At least that's what I believe they are and were at the time. And based on the experience that happened with those lights, a promise was made to our family that there would not be lights in the future. Given that history, we come to you this evening asking that if you move forward with this plan to put up lights, would you please consider an alternative? We ask that you look at the possibility of locating the lights on a field that is centrally located on the high school campus, where the impact would be equitable to all neighbors. If you move forward with this plan, we hope to be involved in the discussions and the plannings, as this will impact our lives. We hope that any other neighbors that are impacted by these decisions will also be included in those discussions as well. We have always had a positive working relationship with the administrations and the boards over the years. We have always tried to be good neighbors and communicate clearly when things were happening. It is our hope that you will carefully consider our concerns and our suggestions for an alternative. In closing, I have one question from my husband he was wanting to know, is it required to do an environmental impact study in this situation? I don't need an answer at this time, but just if somebody can get back to me
Yes.
regarding that.
Yeah, the board would have to adopt a secret statement before moving forward on the project, but that's.
Okay. Excellent. I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a comment? Come on up.
I don't need to walk up to the front. My name's Ed Carmine, probably close to the neighbor. My return footballs, et cetera, be kicked in the yard. But I was promised years ago that there would never be put lights on me, and the promise was from the school board. So I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Cullen. Anybody else have a comment? Open it up to the board for comment. I will start. And I support our sports. My kids played sports. I want to see that continue. I would love to at least look into another location for a field, whether it be this and that, or one or the other. It doesn't matter to me. I know that I've been on the board now. This is my 10th or 11th year. I can't remember. Anyway, it's too long. But anyway, so this came up a few years ago, probably 5-6 years ago, and it shed a lot of light on some things that when we built this addition to the school, the board, whoever, I don't even know who was there at the time. I was not here when it happened, but they promised them that there would be no lights. I'm not sure if that's a promise that anybody should ever make to sort of handcuff, future boards. And I promise that I will not. That's a promise I'll make. I won't make a promise that a future board would have to hold to, because I don't think that's really the right way to go about it. So when, and I have spoken to the Cullen family, and I kind of, when I looked at it, I was like, well, listen, why if we were going to ever put lights on it, why would we put it there? It's like we have 60 acres, I believe, here at this facility. Why did we put it there? I don't know. And there may be a very good reason, because usually there is, but I'm not aware of it. And I will say publicly for myself, I don't think the board should have made that promise, but I will say this one thing. I know John and I have spoken about it, but there's one person that lives next to the school that didn't build next to a school. And I've had this conversation ad nauseum over the years, and that's Mr. Cullen. a school built next to Mr. Cullen. And I told him years ago when this came up that I wouldn't support it. I won't support it now. When Mr. Cullen no longer lives next to the school, then he moves, then that's fine. But if he blessed it, I would bless it. He did not. So that's where I stand on my opinion. I know others on this board have other opinions, and now's the time, I guess, to give it.
I mean, with all the same caveats, and thank you for speaking there. You know, I have such great respect for you as a teacher and a family, and I understand everything that you're saying. But my also feeling is that, actually legally, past school boards can't commit future school boards to action. And I would also say that the world has changed dramatically and the times have changed. There's a massive school bus driver shortage throughout Long Island. I'm sure you've all read about it. And we've gotten into a situation now where kids are not able to get places because of the traffic, you know, going back and forth. They can't get to games. People can't get to us. Games are being canceled, and then we can't get the kids to play because there's only one bus driver that can take them there. So games are stacked. And so I would say that I agree and will, it's my last meeting, but I will certainly encourage the board and the administration to support the efforts to have you involved in everything and decision and have it be a continued open communication. But I believe that we should have lights on the fields. And I think that we should do it in a way that is respectful and well controlled. I don't believe there should be noise and music late at night, but I think that there should be a feedback mechanism so that it's only our kids' sports that can play. No other members of the public can ever ask to have the lights on. It would just be for our kids, so that when we have a JV game that follows a varsity game and it's dark in September, you know, we do that. It really only affects a couple of months here. We're really only talking about, you know, the fall sports really, and probably not that many games. And so I will support it under the circumstances that the neighbors are very involved and that it's understood that we're respectful to them and that we make sure that it's controlled.
And Jackie, just speaking from that, if I can, it really impacts our field hockey teams, our girls lacrosse teams. Just like Jackie said, we had a lot of issues with soccer this year. Miller, that whole central Long Island, Suffolk County is dealing with the Miller Places, the Rocky Points, and the Shore and Wading Rivers have one bus company that they're not getting buses until 4 o'clock, 4:30. And when we're playing them and they're getting here at 5:30 in the afternoon, you know, I called Kate when we had the portable lights. She was great to say, hey, would you mind? We had a soccer game. Miller Place just called me and they're not going to be here till 5:30. Thankfully, Kate was great. And yeah, we were able, but that's the line of communication that I plan on having with the Cullens the entire step of the way. As long as I am here, we will have an open dialogue at all times.
Yeah.
Comment. The school was built 1970. I don't believe the fields as we have them, which haven't changed much, came then, but you might remember. But all of a sudden, we got a federal grant because we had plans to put all the fields we put in. Because if we had them planned and we couldn't do it, we got that grant and they went in, and we were very, very impressed with all the fields we have, and they remained the same. The original field, football field, was not used very much until we made a turf field. I specifically remember that the high school football team was not allowed to practice on that field at all, nor could anybody else practice. It was just used only when we had a high school football game. Put the turf field in, and that changed dramatically. And I believe as we put the turf field in, and but I might be wrong, I was on the board at the time. And I remember putting all those bleachers in, which again was, and at that time, I believe the board said, we have no intention of putting lights on. I don't remember promising we'll never put lights on, but we did say, yes, we're gonna put bleachers in. Yes, we're gonna put a turf field in, but we are not gonna put lights in. That's what I remember. Am I right, Bud, or not? What's that?
Yes.
Okay. So that particular board didn't make that promise that there'd never be lights there. It just said no lights. And
I'm not blaming anybody. That's not my intention. My intention is to love to have lights. I just like them to be away from everybody. I'd like everybody to be able to be somewhat happy and, you know, if there's a compromise, but it's right on top of it. And I get it. And maybe it was a poor thought process, or maybe it was just not even thought of because it would never maybe happen. I mean, that's a logical thought too from the time that was done, but it also puts a lot of pressure on that one side that didn't buy next to it. That's my that's all. And I will probably be outvoted. I'm okay with that. It's fine. And I trust Kathy. And, you know, we've had a long history of kind of not following through with what we were supposed to do. And that's been an issue too. And how did somebody put their trust that, oh, you'll have a policy? Well, policy is terrific, but come here on Sunday afternoon at 8 o'clock and see what the policy's doing. You know what I mean? It's very hard for us to control it because it's very expensive. It's a huge piece of property. We have to figure out a better way to do that. And I think that we have made strides in doing that and we've gotten better, but we're by no means perfect. I trust Kathy 100%. I know if she says she's going to do something, she can, but there's only so much in everyone that's here's control. Overall, do I want it? Yes, I do. I would love to see us, myself personally, build a utility field and put lights on it. But there's a couple things that we could do. There's several things. We could build pools and all. I'd love to have all of that. I'd support it 100%, but there's a pocketbook and a you know string attached to it. So we have to figure that out, and I think we should. But I was just giving my 2 cents, and so you know where I stand and why I'm not voting against it because I don't want the kids to have lights. I'm not voting against it because I think it's a bad idea. I'm voting against it because of the logistics of it and how it was rolled out and how it was done. And there will be a time when, you know, it'll move forward, but it's not now for me. And I think that's the only way I can put it.
we have a good history of not allowing outside groups to use our facilities. We do allow.
We do.
We have a park horse. We do allow.
We have a good policy, but
Wait.
Yeah.
We have a park horse that's walked the public. We want our taxpayers to come on the track. We will not allow outside groups to use our facility. That's a policy we have kept.
No adult outside groups, right?
Right.
No
Yeah, but
organized
the
adult
problem
groups or things like that.
when a
right?
family shows up of 3 or 4 people and brings a speaker the size of this table, they're not an outside group.
We should have. Let's stop that.
Yes, we
On
should.
weekends,
I'm
we have.
100% behind you.
we have
And when we
plans
figure
to
out how to
do
do
that.
that, I'll vote yeah. How about
Yeah.
that?
And we did, that was the
Yeah.
whole reason that we did put in extra security
Yeah.
on the weekends, because
Yes.
we had other incidences.
And that's
People
been it.
go-karting, how
We got people
dangerous
flying
that.
drones, we got people go-karting, or people driving around. Just go ahead, speak, I'm sorry.
John is saying is absolutely right. There's a sign on the gate and the gate's useless because what they do is just hop over the fence if you lock it, and it was locked one time. And on Sunday morning, if you care to ride up here, you can hear
And I have.
loud music, and you can watch some great soccer games. And some of them are so organized, they have team uniforms, etc. And no one seems to care. It was.
It shouldn't happen that way, and that's my point.
Well, but
Is that
that's, I
still
mean, that's
happening?
on,
Yes,
that's
Is it still
on the
happening?
district.
That's on us.
yes, it is.
That's on the district, because
Because
honestly.
we pay for extra security
we
to stop
pay-
that.
Yes,
So
correct.
how is that still
So-
happening?
So what I would say is that's something that the district needs to do a much better, that just shouldn't be happening.
Well, listen, we've been talking about it for a really long time, and it gets a little bit better, but you wanna come up? Come up. Yeah, it'll be better.
Quick comment. Mr. Cole.
No one has a
gets
quick
me all
comment.
fired up. No, this is a quick comment, and fully support athletics, would 100% love lights, avid hockey player with my daughter, and any sport that happens up here, 100% behind it. But just about the security piece, I come up to this turf a lot to train my daughter. And there are outside groups up here constantly, full on teams, full on, men, whatever. I don't feel comfortable leaving her up here by herself just because of the amount of people up here. So it is an issue. It's something that really does need to be visited. And as the Cullums living adjacent to the property, it's a concern.
no one sitting here would like it if it was,
Right,
and that's my,
absolutely.
and that's
I
my
just wanted
point.
to back them up
Yeah.
and say, I mean,
Yeah.
everything up here is wonderful. I love facilities.
Yeah.
But I do want to
And
back
listen,
them up.
and it's hard for us because it's an expense and it's a huge expense to hire
Absolutely.
a security.
But
But it's an
What we
issue.
need to do.
But I appreciate it.
So what is
JP,
happening
but I
that
think
they're
that
not doing?
again, coming back to an issue, and I'll talk more about this later, which is, it costs a certain amount to run a school district.
Yes.
All right, and the fact that, that health insurance rates go up 30% and retirement rates go up, pension costs go up, does not then, by the same percentage, reduce what it costs to run a school district.
No.
And the fact of the matter is, if this is an important issue, and I believe that it is an important issue, and having around-the-clock security on our campus is an important issue, and I would suspect that most members of the public do, then that is exactly the reason why we put forth a budget next year that subsumes that, because
Yeah.
we do have security. We've been struggling to get to a security force here.
And we've
The
tried.
labor is also an issue, just like it is for everything else.
But we've tried, and here's my other point, is that, we always get, and for lack of a better term, we always get the lowest bidder, because we have to take the lowest bidder.
Okay.
So we get what we get, and the administrators don't work on Saturday and Sunday, so they're home. Listen, I've called and spoken to administrators on weekends. I've spoken to Adam, I've spoken to Rich. How many times have I brought this up?
Yes.
Every executive session, I always just mention it as we're having, some of the, I'm like, yeah, I drove through this weekend. And I watched it. I drove through 2 times. And I'm like,
You always
the
check the
gates, I
temps,
always
right?
do. I drive through and I look at everything. And it's like, listen, if you don't know what's going on. My kids played up here. I want the kids to play on that turf. I want the kids to play on that nice field that we just, you spend $100,000 leveling it out, make it perfect, and you come up and there's somebody like, riding their bike across it. It's like, listen, there's a place for that. It's not there. You know what I mean? And like, if there's just somebody around, and I know I get on Adam about it, and I'm like, listen, Adam, and sometimes we don't have it in the budget to do it. We don't, but we have to put it in the budget. We have to figure it out. We have to get a company that's worthy.
Yeah, we have, JP, we just so the community can hear, we restructured all of security going forward, so,
And thank you for that.
we've not been, pleased on a number of levels. I mean, as building administrators here, who can also comment on the performance of the past group. Obviously, we've had a lot of difficulty securing, an outside agency. We have gone back to the drawing board with that, so next year we'll be rolling out, we have everything in place, a kind of a hybrid security of in-house people. We've converted some of our in-house employees who have been here for years, who live in the community, to security roles, guard roles. They will take, be certified guards, and we will be bringing in a new outside local company. There's an agenda item there,
I'm very happy.
authorizing me to enter into those discussions. So I think my take, and hearing the frustrations and seeing them firsthand when I was principal, and hearing it every day from Ralph, Sarah, and Jill, we understand that change needed to be made. It did take a little longer than we anticipated. There was some negotiations that had to take place.
Yeah,
But
no,
I think
definitely.
we'll be very pleased with what we have.
But here's the problem, look. People come up here and abuse our property. Okay, and we don't want that, and we should have guards to do it. But we are not gonna take the attitude that nobody can use our
Of
property.
course not. And that was never the
Because
intent.
we want the proper use. You wanna come up here and run on our track. You wanna come up
Come on.
here and run the park.
Yeah.
You wanna come up here and
walk.
hit tennis balls with your kid. You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right?
No tennis
When
pros.
students are in
Last, we had tennis
session,
pros
right?
on our taxpayer funded facility, our courts, charging and putting signs all over town. Hey, come to the high school. I'll charge you a little bit less because you know what? I don't have to pay somebody local. Well, we had to stop them. It happens all the time, and it's hard to control one and not allow no one. And we don't want to do that. Listen, I came through and there was some high school kids up throwing a ball at the baseball field. That's what I want to see. I want to see that. I don't want to see the adults on the field. Listen, if they're not hurting anything and they're on a backfield, listen, do I really care? No, but you can't say, well, you can and you can use this field, but not that field. But like our varsity fields, the money we've spent on those fields to put them in the condition, and they're actually really nice right now, honestly. Let's keep them like that. The turf, it doesn't hurt anybody when someone goes and runs on the turf. It doesn't hurt anybody when someone's kicking the soccer ball around. But it does affect the neighbors. It does affect, the property in some way. So to me, that's my issue. And I just feel until we have our own house in order, I don't think we should add anything to it. Because it just becomes more, not able to, and Kathy's done a great job. She's reeled in a lot from where it once was, but we have work to do. And she can't do it. She's Kathy gonna sit here 24 hours a day and make sure that the people are supposed to be there, not be there. I came up here the other day, I won't even, anyway, stop. I'll stop.
Well, I think specifically with the lights, we do have only 3 people that would be in charge of it.
Yes, and that's great.
And the lights themselves, if we're talking just about the lights, are, the picture that I saw at least where it's really focused just on the field. It's not, lit up in general. But the point is well taken about the noise that comes along.
Yeah, there's more,
With
the
it.
lights,
Right.
the lights the least of my work.
Right.
I think the lights fantastic.
Do we then have, and the board would have to craft a policy, but you're looking at, do you have an evening football game for our own kids? So now we're gonna say, okay, we can put the lights on. There are 3 people in charge of being able to turn them on and turn them off. Do you tell them that they can't have music then?
Well,
these are all the things
Yes.
to mitigate.
I know if Kathy says,
Get
let's
that
go off at
on.
9, they will go off at 9, because she said they will. And I fully entrust that, but what comes along with it? When does it happen? I love the idea. Do you want to speak?
Who's making sure that everyone's leaving at 9? The coaches?
Well,
There's a lot more that goes into the policy
Yeah,
part that we're
yeah.
gonna really have to,
We're open,
we're gonna have to hold people responsible, and the
Yeah.
one thing that we have never been,
just ask that you state your name.
Sure.
And that would be fantastic.
can I,
Sorry,
what I'm saying then?
my kid.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's Big John's test, so I gotta get back to
Excuse me.
my apologies, but I'm hearing a lot of discussion about security. I'm here particularly for the lights. I think security is something we could handle with, that. But Mike Grande, Montauk, I have a freshman here. I'll have another child here soon. And my comment on the lights is it puts our kids at a disadvantage. You mentioned football. I have daughters, so they don't play football, but how many football games are played at home a year? And how many of those games will be played at night? So we're talking about 2 or 3 games possibly at night. That's 2 or 3 in the fall. Soccer games, you will add those too. But you see how many people go to a JV field hockey game or a JV lacrosse game? Those are the games that I see get canceled because of darkness. Those kids from the other schools
Yeah.
have come from West Islip. They drove all the way out here because I know our kids go there. It's 2.5 hours that these kids aren't getting home till 10 o'clock at night. They're putting in the effort, and those kids are doing what we hope they will do as young students. And they come all the way out here and the game's called, or the game is cut short. And I think that's that to me is what's most unfair. Westbury High School has lights. That's a pretty fancy neighborhood. I think lights are something that we could have and we could manage. And if there's only 2 home football games under the lights, then there's only 2. There's a number that's set, and that's it. And we could have a lot of fun. We could turn the lights off, and then we could go back to, just being a good, normal high school. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have to apologize, Christine, I'm sorry I cut you off. Go ahead.
Well, actually,
I never get to do that.
You've been a lot of finance, because I think I am going to support it. I've been back and forth on it over the years. But I'm only gonna support it if we have a really robust policy for it and that people are held accountable. If we say that a team gets, 1 strike and you're not allowed to play under the lights anymore, somebody has to actually, enforce that. So, I have been torn on it, I have to say, over the years.
I support the lights. I supported it when I was on the board before, and I don't remember that board saying that there will never be lights. I remember there were a couple of people on the board that said they would never approve it. But I support it, but I support it with complete strict control. It's only for school events, only children. Kathy will be in charge. And we need to make sure that our security is, and we've been talking about security all year. We've been talking about security for everything all year. And I think that we have finally got to a point where we might be where we're supposed to be at needing security.
Best chance ever. Best chance ever.
Yes.
And I agree with it.
And
we're
I
getting
think, and we
better.
need it, and we've been talking about it for all three buildings and what we need, and that has been a priority for this board. And I think that the administration have finally got to where we're going to be, and we should be. We have to respect what the Cullums are saying, and I truly understand, but I also agree that the only disadvantages to our students. I don't know why that field was put there. I think it was put there just before I came to the athletic office. But to move it now, the cost would be, I mean, we
Yeah,
would
you
have
would.
to do a whole new facility. We'd have to move other fields. And I'm not saying that's not doable, but that would put other teams out of circulation for a few months. It would be a nightmare at this point.
It would take 5 years.
Yes, to move it. And, but I think that we should have lights. I've always supported that we should have lights, but only with the strictest rules possible.
One quick comment, if I could.
Sure.
Obviously, I'm up here, self-believe Joe McKee, football coach. I agree with everybody. Mr. Collins, I know you well, and I understand both sides. All the disadvantages of kids and all that jazz. I think one thing that I would like to add is the few times that we have had a night game and the lights that we rented were not sufficient. But do you know the capacity to the stands up there? My point being is that place is absolutely packed. 1,500 to 2,000 people. And one of the reasons I love East Hampton, and I will always love East Hampton as much as it's changing, is the small town community feel that this place has. And I'm sorry, up at the football games, and I don't care if it was a soccer game, I don't care if it was a field hockey game, I don't care what sport it was. If I turn up down that field and I see 2,000 East Hampton people up there, excited with banners, all the student body up there, I just think it's wonderful. And I just think that should be added to the comments.
You're 100% right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Who's the list like that?
Anybody else from the board have a comment?
Yeah, I have been listening to every side. I do respect the Combs and their opinions and how they feel. I too feel that the lights would be a great advantage for the kids. Again, with everybody, we've been talking about this back and forth, and with tight control, I trust Kathy. I just think that with the policy set that we work out together, I think that it would be beneficial for the school, and I believe that I will support it as well.
Kathy, you were AD when West Hampton put their lights in.
Correct.
Was there,
We
Think
lost the
about
lights.
I lived on Oneck Lane. Oneck Lane is right across, my house is right across from the tennis courts and the field there. And, I guess I like kids, but I like being there. I like being next to the school at MHC. I'm disappointed that there aren't kids playing in that field for me. So I just see it as something good. But was the community, was there a lot of members of the community against it, Kathy, when you?
Yes, we, just like East Hampton, lost the lights two different times before the lights were approved. There was a donation from Coca-Cola for lights that was disbanded by the community, especially the people, the neighbors right there. The second time it was a public vote that it was against, that was another one. It was going to be a donation also. And then the third time with a lot of conversation with the neighbors and dealing with the neighbors' input. Because again, just like you said, Oneck Lane is a strict street houses. The football field is here. The houses are right here. It's literally
Right across the street.
very similar to how the Cullums live. And I spent a lot of time meeting with them, speaking to them, hearing their concerns, mapping out what every season looked like, what all the games look like. And that's exactly what my plan would be going forward to sit down and make sure all parties are. Adam and I have talked about fencing to help with the noise, also to try to extend the fence down there and put that decorative grass, just like Sam had spoken about before, and that would help with the noise also. And, the biggest thing, like Kate calls me, I have, Kate, anytime that there's music on the field, if I can get out there, I know we have security, I try and call security, and Kate has my number, she knows she can call me anytime, day or night. And the lights are literally, you pick up the phone and go, yeah, this is Kathy from East Hampton. Yep, I'm done with my lights. All right, thank you very much. Bye. And you turn around and walk away and the lights go off like a switch. And they're in Iowa. They just go and turn right off. And I can do, you can do it from your phone also.
Well, I'd like to see us, like, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit to practical matters, but, you know, maybe we make sure that we have security there, and security is told they have to stay. Maybe we
Yeah.
limit the number of times that we can put the lights on. And then maybe we have security, you know, pigeonholed for that night, for that time, and make them stay through the game, and make sure that all the kids leave after, like, things like that, that are just gonna be.
Yeah.
Common
We're just gonna have
sense.
to get stricter with the rules and regulations, and they're gonna have to be followed through. And if it doesn't, then things will have to change, because we
Well,
can still, if things are not done the way we want them done, and the safety and the respect of the columns, then we can come back here again and we can change how those lights are used.
Well, I know that you guys have been so.
So that's just, you know, I mean, it looks like the majority of us support, but like, I'm not gonna sit back and have every other week somebody said was such and such showed up. No, that's not gonna happen.
They can't, because they can't turn it. If they
Exactly.
say the lights are off at 9 and field
Right.
hockey wants to practice from 7:30 to 9, well. Danielle and Nicole better have those kids off by 10 of, because at 9 o'clock, it's gonna be pitch black on that field.
And I think the fact that our security is gonna be different. I think
Yes, that's gonna be the biggest.
we're hoping our new security is gonna be local, so they're not getting on the road and trying to head west.
Yeah.
And get out of here, but, you know, they're gonna be here as long as we need them, security wise. So that, I think that's our biggest concern, and it seems like we might be on the right path. But we will be, you know, if it goes through and we decide to have it, we definitely can shut it down too. If this board decides to do it, they can also decide to undo it.
All right.
Are we voting on that?
Yeah, there's a
There's a
resolution, yeah.
That's not right.
So.
We gotta talk to some wonderful people.
So I'm gonna turn the meeting over to Mr. Klein again.
Yep, so for a little change of direction, last year we started on our retirees at the board meeting. I've asked each of the administrators to talk about each of their wonderful employees who are leaving us today, and obviously you can see a lot of them are here. So I think we're gonna start with the middle school. Because Dan brought 30 people. It's a wonderful family.
You know, if Mrs. Duran is here, I didn't see her.
I didn't see her, but you can read it, Charlie.
Yeah, because people will be able to see that.
Yeah.
It'll be recorded, so that's good.
All right. Where do you want me to stand? Sort of.
Why don't you turn, do you want to turn? Okay, whatever's good.
When we're talking about Mrs. Duran, who is not here, but she should still be honored, and maybe she can watch it on the camera. So, so when I think of Mrs. Duran, I think of two things immediately. She would frequently visit the main office, and she always said, "I have an idea." And I would think, all right, here we go. And then we'd be off to the races with a brand new idea for the benefit of our kids. And it became a bit of a joke between us when she'd round the corner. I have an idea. And she did have wonderful ideas. And secondly, Judy left the middle school with her oft-repeated phrase, also posted in her classroom, progress, not perfection. And at the middle school, she was known to our middle schoolers as their best advocate. She had the uncanny ability to draw out students' confidence, to help them, and most importantly, to figure out the world by themselves. She inspired confidence. She also inspired an internal locus of control, joy, good humor, self-knowledge, self-understanding, and not just the material. And her students absolutely loved her, and we all have missed her over these past few months. Her impeccably planned lessons and her planned activities were careful, and they were calculated to get her students' attention and to get them thinking. And she challenged them to stretch themselves in ways that they never believed were possible. She's a consummate educator. So Mrs. Horan, if you're watching, and finally, I have an idea for you. Enjoy your retirement, enjoy your beautiful family, and know that you are deeply missed. And now Mr. Hartnett, who's here. Mr. Hartnett, would you like to come up and join me so folks can see you? Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Hartnett started his career in East Hampton in 2000 when he was hired as a full-time social worker. He has held numerous roles during his 23-year tenure. He was an assistant principal at John Marshall, principal of the high school alternative school, interim assistant principal at the high school, and has filled in for me several times at middle school. He has been a social worker in every building in the school district. But I think his greatest work with the deepest impact has been his years working with the students at the middle school. He has been a consoler, a guide, a shepherd, and within the last few years, Mr. Hartnett has picked up managing detention with his pal, Mr. Lazaris, where he goes to work affectionately with those that we call the detained. Those who have earned themselves detention for a range of middle school hijinks, disrespect, or unkindness. And this is no small, insignificant task in a middle school. It's a chance for restoration, for change, for young people seeing their best selves in someone else's eyes, someone who believes in them and someone who is their cheerleader. This is the heart of educating young people, to draw them out of themselves and to help them better become themselves. I believe that that work is also a metaphor for Mr. Hartnett's work and his mission to support, to salve, to care for, to lift up, to help motivate our middle schoolers. And this is the essence of Mr. Hartnett, whether he's in the parking lot greeting students and parents in the morning or counseling students in his office. It's all about care for him, consideration, aiding and abetting the most important life skill of discernment. To figure out where you fit in and how you are going to make your way in the world. To sing your song and to sing it loud and proud. Along the way, Mr. Hartnett has mentored many wayward and wonderful students over the years, and he has also mentored many adults and parents too, to help them help their child grow. So to the multi-talented Mr. Hartnett, you leave us with a song in our hearts, and we hope you will keep on, keeping on, and continue to give yourself away. Much love. We love you.
I bless you, man.
Ms. Cuda?
I'm going to take your spot. I'd like to start by honoring Karen Powers, who I know is not here with us this evening. Karen retired over the summer. Karen began as a paraprofessional in 2015, and she loyally served the students of East Hampton for 8 years. She is passionate about the safety and the learning of young children. Karen, if you know her, has very strong beliefs, and that translated into her advocacy for her students and a deep-seated concern for their well-being. She is always dedicated to the success of our John Marshall students, and she is already missed this year by her students and the John Marshall community. We wish her the best of luck moving forward. Congratulations, Karen. I hope you are. Hey, Grace, I'm not going to make you come over here, but will you stand, please? Grace Narda began as a paraprofessional in 2005 and served the students of East Hampton dutifully for 18 years. She served in many different capacities, including library support, a one-to-one aide, and most notably, a kindergarten paraprofessional working alongside another recent legendary retiree, Miss Eileen Quinn. This pair created safe and inviting learning environments for their students for many years. Grace was dedicated to her students, always actively supporting John Marshall teachers to make sure they have the best possible experience. Grace is always thinking about others, as evidenced by the flamingo keychains as retirement gifts for her peers. Her creativity is second to none. For any of you that know Grace, you could not outbeat Grace in a creative sweater competition around holidays. Grace has the most creative holiday sweaters. Grace, we appreciate all of your contributions to the John Marshall community and wish you the very best moving forward. Okay, then Colleen Aglin's doll. Colleen, will you stand for it? You don't have to come up if you don't want to, but. Colleen began teaching in the East Hampton Union Free School District in 1998. Prior to coming to East Hampton, it's my understanding, Colleen, that you worked with preschoolers. When the pre-K program began at John Marshall, you were the perfect fit to teach in our program. Colleen is kind and compassionate to everyone, children and adults. Colleen supports all of her students always, but she especially roots for the underdog. Colleen is always positive, no matter what's going on in her personal life. She always comes to school with a smile on her face and ready to take on the day. The first time I walked into Colleen's classroom, it wasn't even your classroom. I don't know if you remember. It was in the library. We had broken up the library into thirds, and Colleen was doing Zumba. There were no students in the class. Colleen was just warming up for the day. It's very typical for Colleen to start her day dancing, and sometimes even before the students arrive. You may also know that Colleen loves to search thrift shops and find treasures to enhance her classroom. Her car is usually loaded with goodies that are going back and forth from her basement to the classroom and basement. You've even been known, so I hear, although I've never seen, to carry toys with you back and forth on the train, regardless of the size and the bulk of those toys. Anything to support your needs then. Colleen is cherished. You're a cherished peer to all, especially your pre-K team that's here with you tonight to support you. We wish you well, and we will miss you next year at John Marshall. And we know that you have many, many adventures ahead. We love you, Colleen. Congratulations.
So at the high school, we have a few retirees, and I have the privilege of starting with Allison Flynn. So I'm not going to make you come up. I would say that Allison is probably our most patient and kind staff member. And sometimes you have to be careful with that, because sometimes you can be a victim of your own success in that area. So Allison would often find herself, there are very few people who can handle the senior lounge around June. And then the next day find themselves being asked to proctor a test read exam for 6 hours straight. But no matter what we ask of Allison, she's always on board. She's always a team player. She's always so amiable. And it should come as no surprise that she naturally connects with students. And her welcoming and warm personality was pivotal in bringing back the library at post-COVID. During COVID, our library was a cafeteria. And so it took a bit of time for our students to remember after COVID that, oh no, wait, this is actually the library. And Allison was a huge piece of that, welcoming students in, encouraging them to use our mental health space, helping get things back up and running. And the most important thing is that she always took the time to get to know our library regulars. And if you know library regulars, those are usually our students who need a safe space most. And Allison was very in tune with their needs, and she knew exactly how to meet them. So Allison is very humble and modest.
But she has a few hidden talents that she has only told us about recently. So some of those quiet talents are that she is a gourmet chef. And all I have to say is that, like, now you tell me. Yeah. So she had a very long career at a apparently very swanky social club in New York City and learned the ins and outs of food and wine and culture. And has parlayed this into some own catering things out here. And you could always pick her brain about, you know, all things food, culture, etc. And I even hear that she is such a good gourmet cook. And her dogs are her babies, that I have heard that they even get homemade meals. And I would say, I have no doubt that your dogs eat better than my own daughter. Allison is a true intellect. She is one of the few people who still read the New York Times cover to cover every day. That is a huge commitment. She balances herself out, keeps herself humble and well-rounded by also reading the New York Post every day. keeping it all in perspective. She is a fierce tennis and golf player. And perhaps most importantly, and this has not been easy for her over the past couple of years, she is a wonderful partner and caregiver to Tina, who has needed it quite dearly over the past year and a half. You have been with us 10 years, just about, and in that short time, relatively speaking, you have made a lasting impact on your colleagues and on students. We will miss you dearly. We may be calling you for proctoring assignments next year, but or catering. And you will be sorely missed, but congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan.
And I'm going to pass it to Ms. Collins. Yeah. Now the great Mr. Dr. Zwickert. Dr. David Zwickert. Would you like to stand there? Would you like to stand there? Wherever you want.
I'll go stand next to you.
David exemplifies what a teacher is meant to be. While the history curriculum is the base of all his lessons, he really planned his classes around the idea of the students learning how to learn. And if they were lucky to develop the love of learning like he has. David didn't begin his career here with us at East Hampton High School. He was the president of the American Scandinavian Foundation in Manhattan for many years. We're just like gonna breeze over the amount of years I've been there. Just a few years back, he was honored at their 100th year gala. He also won the Swedish Bicentennial Medal for his service with this foundation. After moving to East Hampton, he became the director of the East Hampton Historical Society. He did this for a few years, just something, and had some great successes, but wanted to pursue his love for history and teaching. It had been his dream for a long time. He was offered a few jobs at universities that he didn't see as a fit, and then a job at Ehufsd. It was tempting. This is so true. It was tempting,
But it's long draw.
It was tempting, but that job would come with a commute. And it didn't take someone with a PhD from Harvard to know that that was not a good idea. And this is how he came to us. And he has had some wonderful successes here as well. As a side note, and after he and Mr. Stewart retire here, there's no one left that can actually confirm or deny any of these stats, so I'm just going to follow. Dr. Stewart has been teaching at the high school for 32 years. He has held many positions during this time, but I'll only name a few. David was the coordinator of Social Studies Department for a number of years. He also spent some time running the school newspaper, the Bonnet Beachcomber, and was the National Honor Society advisor throughout his tenure here. He helped pioneer the AP European History and History through Film classes. He headed the Middle States Steering Committee for Accreditation, and if you're like me, you probably would have to Google that, and I did. So that essentially the Middle States Accreditation is an expression of confidence in an institution's mission and goals, its performance and its resources. An institution is accredited when the educational community has verified that its goals are achieved through self-regulation and peer review.
It's how we get, basically, it's how we get colleges to work with us and accept our courses for college credit. David helped with that a lot. While these achievements are definitely worth mentioning, an equally important one is his ability to draw all types of learners into his other classes, specifically history through film. David had the ability to reach students of all learning types and with all different school goals. This class he created was a haven for all students. You can take the word of hundreds of students who would come back years after sitting with him in a course to request one of his infamous letters of recommendation. There are even rumors that he'd have to take a day or two off to write them all, but at this point. In closing, David is not being replaced next year because he simply cannot be. He is a good, kind person that just came in each day hoping to instill the love of learning to his students, which he clearly has. David was here from my beginning. He was my first roommate when I came here and was so welcoming. I'm happy to be part of his new beginning as he starts this new chapter of his life, which is retirement. I've heard that David wants to go back to writing screenplays, something that he did in his spare time years ago, and would love to write a book on teaching film or film studies. And I think it's safe to say that you would have your first few sales that are sitting in this room right here today. So David, thank you for all you've done for the culture of learning here at East Hampton High School. And Mr. Negley are able to speak on Mr.
Come on. I'd like everyone to see your pants actually.
Borrowed yours.
I was up yesterday.
Same pants?
We're close. So Jim Stewart started at East Hampton High School way back in 1977. To give you a frame of reference, in 77, gas was 62 cents a gallon, milk was 83 cents, and Mrs. Fine was dropping off her precious little Adam at the pre-K program. 46 years, Jimmy's been teaching East Hampton teenagers about physical and mental health and in his high school health classes and the importance of making good decisions and positive, healthy choices. If you've ever been in Jim's class, he has a unique way of taking attendance. When he calls a student's name, instead of the student saying here or present, they report a number to Jim from 1 to 10 as to how they are feeling that day. This process has always allowed Jimmy to get the pulse on the students in his class and give him an opening to connect with any student who may need some extra attention that day. When Jimmy noticed a pattern in a number, he would often take the student down to one of the support staff, myself, or guidance to make sure they were okay. When I heard Jimmy was retiring, I thought about his number system and decided to do a check on myself. At first, I reported as a 2 because I realized that from now on, I would no longer have my longtime colleague, friend, and mentor who was always there to lend positive advice to everyone in the building. However, as I thought about it for a while and tried to be less selfish, I realized that I was a 10. I was a 10 because I got to spend the last 30 years with Jimmy, a guy who always put kids first and went the extra mile for the East Hampton School District. I know we don't have unlimited time this evening, so I'll just scratch the surface by telling you about some of the things he has been a part of during his career in bonding. Sources of Strength, the Upstream Suicide Prevention Program, Relationships Don't Hurt in conjunction with the retreat, Break Free from Depression, which was developed through Boston's Children's Hospital, Yearbook Advisor, Class Advisor, Honor Society Advisor, East Hampton Hall of Fame Committee, in charge of Phoenix House presentations, Katie's Kids at See Me, and the Japan Club, and the list, I was saving that one, and the list goes on. As for coaching is concerned, Jimmy was recently inducted into the East Hampton High School Hall of Fame for his years of service to the athletic department as a coach. In soccer, Jimmy has over 150 coaching victories, several Suffolk County Coach of the Year honors, and multiple playoff victories. As a wrestling coach,
Jimmy has over 140 dual meet wins, and in 2013 received the Suffolk County Coaches Association Grand Master Award. If you know Jimmy, wrestling has always been a huge part of who he is. It's been passed down from his father, Walter, a World War II veteran stationed in Italy and a former wrestling coach at Riverhead. And it is, in my opinion, where Jimmy receives so much of his grit, mental toughness, and character. He often said to me, Ralph, not everyone wrestles, but everyone probably should. Jimmy was never absorbed with winning at all costs, but more importantly, helping young men develop solid character and integrity in whatever it is that they choose to do in life. I do have one photo, however, that I've kept in my office for the past 15 years or so of the usually mild-mannered, and afterwards you guys could come up and take a look at it. It's such a great photo. Of the usually mild-mannered Jimmy displaying his intensity when Bonacker Sam Thomas upset the 1 seed from Shoreham-Wading River 2-1 to secure a second place finish. Huge upset for us. I know Jimmy loved that victory. More importantly, the photo is entitled The Sweet Taste of Victory, and is it appropriately named? Not necessarily for that match, but for Jimmy's entire career at East Hampton High School. Jimmy, you were victorious in everything you did. You're a teacher who can never be replaced, and you have changed so many lives for the better throughout your 46 years in the district. As I said, I can go on forever, but for the sake of time, I won't. We just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for all you've done for your students and the families in East Hampton. I wish you a happy and healthy retirement with your wonderful family who's here this evening. I just want to let you know I was going to invite Bob Emmons to give a speech, but based on Bob's public speaking history, I thought that the man, the legend, Jimmy, all the best.
Whenever I'm going to sources a strength meeting with Ralph would introduce me and tell the people there that from the University of Rochester that I was 100 years old. Today, walking down the hall, a student came up to me and said, Mr. Stewart, how old are you? I looked at her. It's Ocean, if you know, a wonderful girl. I said, I'm 68. She goes, phew. Someone's been telling me you're 106. I said, I know who's doing it. Thank you, Rob. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. I'd like to start with Mrs. Jackson, Dorothy Jackson, who retired this year after serving as a school bus driver for the district for more than 15 years. Mrs. Jackson, it's a pleasure to work with you. I just want to give the audience, folks on the board, a little taste of what it takes to be a bus driver. You have to first read, understand, memorize a driving manual, a commercial driver's driving manual. It's about 100 pages long. It's very complicated. I have read it. I have to admit, I don't understand the part about the air brake, how that works. I'll need someone to explain that to me. You then have to take a written test the state gives. You then have to undertake a very lengthy unpaid time of learning how to drive a school bus, which is a difficult task. You then have to pass a state road test, and then you get off the job. And then every year you have to undergo multiple hours of training and retraining every year. You have to pass physical performance tests. You have to go for medical physicals, random drug testing. It's all designed to make sure that drivers are in top shape and are there to keep kids safe. And then we give you the job. And we ask you to drive 66 kids down the road at 55 miles an hour in a 10,000-pound vehicle. And by the way, your back is to them, so you can't even see them. And Mrs. Jackson, you did that excellently every year that you worked here for 15 years. And I know that Joe and everyone at the bus garage and I as well miss you very much. It was a pleasure to work with you. And as I said when we met in my office, I wish you nothing but a long and happy retirement. You've earned it and you deserve it. And thank you for everything you've done for the students in this district. You were the first one to see them in the morning, the last one to see them at night, and you helped set the tone for countless numbers of kids and how they develop as young adults in school. So thank you. And it's also my pleasure to honor Dave Salvo and Dave Cheney. I don't think either of them are able to be here this evening. Dave Salvo drove for us for 13 years. I will say, if you have not read the essay that he had published in the East Hampton Star on the joys of being a school bus driver, I strongly recommend you take a look. It was a beautiful piece of writing, and it really showed how not only teachers, but how everyone in this education community has a chance to impact the lives of students. Dave Cheney, who drove for us for 16 years, although since he was a half-time bus driver, he may have only driven for 8. I think that's how I would categorize that. But I learned more from Dave sitting in my office with him for an hour than I think I've learned from almost anyone else here. And so I know both of them, I think, have actually moved away from East Hampton for various reasons, but I wish them also long and happy retirements. And then I want to take a moment to talk about possibly New York State's greatest school district treasurer, Deirdre Herzog. When Deirdre started as the treasurer here in East Hampton, I believe she used an abacus as the latest cutting edge technology and how to keep track of the money. But being a school district treasurer is a tremendous amount of trust that the board places in you. You are literally the custodian of the public money. And only with your say-so, with your signature, are you able to, is the money able to move. Deirdre filled that role here for more than 31 years with excellence, with intelligence, with grace. And at one point, I believe, Deirdre, you can correct me on this, you would get treasurer simultaneously in 3 different school districts. Is that correct? Which is an indication of how her utmost honesty, professionalism, and perfectionism has gone such a long way. I learned an incredible amount of how the East Hampton business office works. Thank you for all of the time you spent helping me get acclimated here, and all the time you spent working with your successor to make sure that she's able to make a success in your very large footprint. So congratulations, Deirdre. I hope you'll continue to stop by now and again to say hello. And Deirdre, I have to say, I have a bad habit of setting really awful dad jokes to my friends. Deirdre has been a very welcome recipient of these. She brings them over to the grandchildren, so automatically she jumps right on the top. Deirdre, congratulations. We should log it.
Thank you. Thank you. I miss writing those big checks.
Catherine Dickinson, so you can come on. I won't embarrass you. You still haven't issued the last paycheck before you leave.
Okay.
Everybody's favorite employee. Catherine oversees payroll. But Catherine originally started here as an account clerk in 1989.
Yes.
Only 90-day provisional account. You then were actually really hired at in May.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get rid of you in that first part. Then she took time to raise her family. She came back in 2005.
Yes.
And worked as an account clerk, and then was working part-time in 2006, and it was fully appointed in 2020 as senior account clerk. She runs everything, and everybody knows Catherine. So I've had the pleasure of working with her for the past 13 years. The past 3, I have worked directly with her in the district office, and the amount of information I've learned as a new superintendent is there's without question some of the best information and experience. And I always tell the board, this district's in good health. We just talked about Catherine, and losing 2 incredible people with such institutional knowledge is amazing. Payroll could be considered the most important aspect in the school district. Although most people would choose to work for free, Catherine was committed to actually paying them. A job she did with fidelity and consistency over 2 decades. At times, her attention to detail could drive a superintendent insane. That's why Rich retired. But with that said, there is no greater trait to have in your payroll supervisor. I will miss our discussions, your sense of humor, your commitment to figure out how to smuggle adult beverages into a Mormon wedding, and all jokes aside, your love and passion for your job and the commitment to the employees of this district. I wish you the best of luck in retirement. Wanted a gift card, but I said, I mean, that's serious talk.
So, Jackie, from kindergarten, our kids were in kindergarten class together, to meet the candidate night when Jackie ran for board 12 years ago. Somebody that we've all gotten to know really well. Jackie, I'll miss you. I'll miss our sparring. I'll miss our jokes. I'll miss everything about you, honestly. I know you're not going far. You'll be here. But honestly, thank you for your 12 years here as a board member. And I think there's, very few people that can say that. There's a few people here that are coming to that number. I'm getting there. John's passed it. Sandy's passed it. But at the same time, it's a huge commitment. And I think that, tonight's discussion was a perfect example of everyone's different feelings. And I think one thing I can say about being on this board with Jackie is we've disagreed a lot, but we disagree respectfully, and we disagree on we're in the same direction, but like how to get there is a little bit of a difference sometimes. But we have fun with it, and honestly, we'll all miss you. And enjoy yourself. I know she's going on a big trip, so that's a good thing too. Enjoy that. It's something you've been waiting for a long time. And congratulations. I'll let anybody else speak that wants to speak now before I come over to see you. But
Congratulations. 12 years is a really long time, and you were so committed to this entire district for all of that time. And yeah, I think you really set a tone, behind the scenes as well.
Absolutely.
For agreeing to disagree respectfully. And I think you held us all to, some standards of behavior. And I think you really made an impact. I mean, I started with you. I'm probably the longest on here with you because I came in the year behind you. And those first few years, there was a lot going on. It was really a couple of really rough years. There was a lot of crying where we actually went home and cried after the school board. But, we persevered. And, I think we made some good changes. And I think a lot of that was due to, ideas that you had and things that you pushed. So thank you.
Becky, thank you for being you.
Thank you, John.
And
Thank you for being a lifeguard.
I just always liked the idea that she would give us a great amount of information before we made a decision. And I'd always, it's just, she's been a very powerful board member. And I'm very glad you were with us. Thank you.
Yeah, Jackie, I just want to say, being the newest board member, you have been such a good leader, and I've learned so much in the short amount of time that I've been with you. I've learned so much from you, and I just wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You have contributed a lot to this district, and we appreciate it. And I know we're gonna miss you, that's for sure, but you're not going too far.
No, here. Thank you.
Enjoy it.
Thank you so much.
And if we step out of line and make a decision that she doesn't like, she is going to be up here.
Yeah, you're not going to come back.
She still has her phone number.
To sum it up, I think I was thinking about this as you get closer to not being here anymore. It's leave it better than you found it.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that you can be proud of.
Yeah, so, everyone who knows me, who's watched me in the board, knows that I am not very shy about talking. So just, if I could just say two things, and we've all been here a long time. I just wanted to say just a couple of different things, if I could. One, to all the teachers that have retired, and to the administrators and to the program directors that are retiring. Thank you so very much. I know many of you personally, and every single person here has such a role in making this the successful district that we have, and it's been such an honor to be part of it. I was recruited 12 years ago. I had a daughter who was 10 and a son who was 7 all come through now. My daughter just graduated from college a few weeks ago, and my son is finishing this freshman year. And, you know, all of you are responsible for the successes of them and so many other kids. I just want to say, I'm so proud, when I joined 12 years ago, of what we as a board and as a district have accomplished together, including, you know, full day preschool, new vocational education programs, new Chromebooks for every kid in the school, new STEM programs, Science Olympiad. And I want to give a shout out to my dear friend, Rich Wilson, who was so much a part of that, and Pat Hope were all parts of the early days here. For me on the board, the dual language program, new sports programs, new safety and security investments, the bus barn during COVID, feeding the insecure in our community, the food insecure in our community, hiring amazing administrators and staff. And I have to say, we did have a succession plan here. I'm very proud of our board for that. I think you see how that plays out in this district versus not saying anything else, but we've planned for this for a long time, you know, successfully negotiating contracts with our teachers and our staff, because we value you and you're really the heart and soul of this district. And then like developing budgets that put kids first. And that's something that's really important. And of course, you know, I always, you know, small p political, not big p political, but, you know, I've said many times, I said it again tonight, you know, I'm very proud of the fact that we've brought in budgets under the 2% tax cap, but I also believe that the tax cap is a political artifice. And at the end of the day, you know, if insurance costs go up, that doesn't mean our kids' needs go down, and we have to keep, you know, children deserve the resources that they need to thrive, and our teachers deserve fair pay. And I believe that that's a challenge for the future. I love all of you. You've been great to work with. The administrators, Carrie, Stevens. Oh my God, you know, we're the best. You for making this board run. And then just my last comment, and I'm sorry, but I have a platform to say what I yell at CNN every night, but I'm going to say it. I'm so proud that this school board has remained unpolitical. The school boards have become a fighting ground around the country right now for, you know, cultural wars that don't help anyone, and are mostly pretty cruel. And I'm so proud that we on the school board encourage critical thinking, and that all our books remain on our shelves here. And I'll run again if they don't. I'm so proud that we believe that all children of all races, immigration status, and native language are welcome here, and they thrive here. And I'm so proud that we all believe that all of the LGBTQ kids in our community deserve to be safe and respected and part of this community as well. And I just am sad that around the country, people are seeking political gain at the expense of our children. And I hope that this board will remain above the fray there and continue to put our kids first. So that's my little speech.
Everybody, everybody here tonight, thank you. If you guys give us, if we have some refreshments, we just have a little bit of business that we do have to attend to. We'll promise it won't take too long, but you know, if you have to go, I do also understand you are retired now, so yeah. But in all honesty, thank all of you, because you know, you see the names, you see the kids, the teachers you know your children had, and it's a piece of your life. And thank you. Okay. So, well, I actually got to do public comment. Yeah. Does anybody here have a public comment for the consent agenda? Any on this consent agenda? I think we've talked everything out pretty well tonight, but I'll move on to the
you also
consent.
have no callers, just to let you know. You have no callers.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I gotta get, well, we'll get used to not having that soon. the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion. Second.
Second. All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Old business. We
gotta go.
we're done. I'm sorry. Yeah, I got it. I'm fine. Trying to get it stopped quick. Okay, so this item is gonna be read by Jack.
Yep.
Number one.
Okay, so this is a resolution that we discussed a while ago as a board. And I recommended that the board approve the following resolution, whereas the primary mission of the East Hampton Union Free School District is to ensure that all children are given the opportunity to achieve academic excellence and that our schools are safe and secure places to learn. And whereas the national epidemic of gun violence and shootings threaten our community and our ability to educate and protect our children and staff. And whereas in response to the crisis, the East Hampton Union Free School District Board of Education conducted a comprehensive security audit and has invested heavily in hardening infrastructure and additional security personnel. And whereas the district has also led the effort to improve mental health services for students on the East End and invested to hire additional mental health professionals and created an on-site mental health clinic and supported other efforts to improve access to mental health services. And whereas the Board of Education believes strongly that none of these efforts can fully be effective in ensuring the safety of our children and staff without action by the nation's elected officials to enact reasonable and effective gun control measures, now therefore be it resolved that the East Hampton Union Free School District Board of Education calls upon our elected representatives at every level to support and actively work to advance a comprehensive strategy to protect our nation's and our children's and our community's children and families from gun violence, including at a minimum enacting a national ban on the sale of military-grade weapons to civilians, requiring universal background checks for the purchase of guns, and strengthening red flag laws. And be it further resolved that it is the belief of East Hampton Union Free School District, East Hampton Union Free School District's Board of Education that only in partnership with our elected officials that the East Hampton Union Free School District can truly keep our district's children and staff safe. And be it further resolved that it is the belief of the East Hampton Union Free School District Board of Education that the time for action is now, because we as a nation and as a community cannot stand by as innocent children and adults continue to be slaughtered by gun violence.
Can I have a motion?
I make it. One second.
I make a motion.
All right. Any discussion? I think you summed it up. Does anybody have anything to want to say? All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much, Jackie. I know you had a lot to do with that. Thank you. Number two, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolve the board accept the letter of resignation from Jacqueline Bates from the position of special education teacher, grades 1 through 6, effective August 29th, 2023. And be it further resolved that Jacqueline Bates, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, appointed to a family and consumer science position, beginning August 30th, 2023, to expire August 29th, 2027, subject to pending for obtaining certificate of family and consumer science teacher at the annual salary of $70,935. Can I have a motion?
make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
Replacement.
Replacement? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number three, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that Melissa Edwards is, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, appointed to a physical education teaching position, tenure of physical education and recreation, who holds a valid New York State certification in aforesaid area for probationary term to commence August 30th, 2023, and to expire August 29th, 2027. At an annual salary of $80,588. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second. In discussion? On the
Replacement
replacement?
of Jim Stewart.
Yes. Big shoes to fill.
Can't be replaced, but it's a replacement.
All in favor? Any opposed? Let's see, number four, am I third? Got lost my spot. Yeah, no, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolve the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District pursuant to Rule 14 of the Suffolk County Civil Service Commission, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, is hereby appoint Amy Remkus to the position of school nurse commencing August 30th, 2023, as to be paid at the annual salary of $95,251. Can I have a motion?
I make the motion.
Second,
Second.
replacement. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 5, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District pursuant to Rule 14 of the Suffolk County Civil Service Commission and upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, does hereby appoint Edward McCluskey to the position of Maintenance Mechanic 2 for a probationary period of 26 weeks, commencing July 1st, 2023, as to be paid at the annual salary based at $53,423. Have a motion?
Make a motion. I'll second.
Second?
Additional maintenance, new, but in the budget
Okay.
and discussed.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 6, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Be it hereby resolved that the Board of Education accept a letter of resignation for the purpose of retirement from Catherine Dickinson in the position of senior account clerk effective close of business day on June 30th, 2023. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Congratulations again. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 7, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that the board accept the first reading of the following amended policy, non-resident students, policy number 7132. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
No, it's just a simple update to add John Marshall's trimester schedule. It still had 2 semesters in there and needed to be updated.
Okay, do we need a vote?
It's only the first.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 7, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolve the board accept the first reading of the following amended policy. Did I just do that? I didn't cross it out. Sorry about that. Number 8, recommend the board approve the following resolution, whereas the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District is aware of the desire of the community members to raise funds for the installation of lighting at the East Hampton High School football field, and whereas the organizers of this effort plan to donate the money to the district to cover the entire cost of the project. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby supports the effort to place lights on the football field funded solely through donations at no cost to the taxpayer. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second? We did discuss this. All in favor?
Aye.
And I will be noted as opposed. For the reasons I explained earlier today. Number 9, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District hereby designates authority for the superintendent of schools to execute the resulting contract on behalf of the Board of Education for the security services for the 2023-24 school year. Be it further resolved that the superintendent will likely make a public report and submit it to the Board of Education. Any resulting fully executed contract signing under said authority. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
That's exactly what we talked about. We're in discussions now to bring in a new security firm. Between now and the reorg, I need to be able to get it.
Good.
Yep.
Well, you know that we support it.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 10, recommended the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District hereby accepts with gratitude the following donations. 1, a Uso ball rack used for the height. What is it? I'm gonna just go through.
Yeah, it's a donation.
A donation, and thank you very much. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion. Second.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much for the donation. Sorry about that. Number 11, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that the board approve the following contract agreements for the 2022-23 school year in accordance with the terms and conditions of said contract agreements, and authorizes the president of the Board of Education to sign said contract agreements. And it's number 1, it's the contract with the Hopper. 2 is with Patricia Tobin, and the 3rd one is with Diane Spring for substitute RN. Can I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussions? All in favor? Any opposed? Number 12. Recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District hereby accepts the 2022-23 internal audit fixed asset report prepared by Questar 3 Bothes, and authorizes the filing of said report and corrective action plan responses with the appropriate New York State authorities. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second,
Second.
discussion, we've been around and around with this for a while, no?
Mhm.
You don't need to, there's nothing we need to add.
This has to do with the extra passive activity account and major. Sorry, wait, let me correct what I said. This has to do with fixed assets.
I was about to ask you.
Sorry,
I read it actually.
That was not. This has to do with fixed assets. We've already corrected most of the things we brought in, the board approved a couple of days ago. Accompanied to a fixed asset study of our homes, we're prosecuting this way.
Great. Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 13, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolve the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District hereby approve the district's participation in the dental insurance program in accordance with the terms and conditions of the program dated July 1st, 2023, offered by Metropolitan Life Insurance Company, New York, New York, and authorize the president of the Board of Education and the superintendent of schools to sign any necessary documents. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? This is standard there stuff for the most part. It's changed.
This is a change to a different dental insurance provider. We are getting better coverage with a wider network for less money.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 14, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District declares a surplus of the following equipment as obsolete and authorizes the disposal of same. First, by listing the item for public auction on auctionsinternational.com, and then by disposing of any remaining items as scrap, each in accordance with the New York State law, and authorize the superintendent of schools to sign any necessary documents to dispose of the property. So it's a Lincoln plasma cutter, and that's it. You have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
It no longer cuts plastic.
All right. The non-plasma cutting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 15, recommend the board approve the following resolution. This is a tax interface note. I am not going to read it. You can read it online if you'd like. It's something we do every year. Is this roll call? This is roll call?
You don't have to do it.
No? Okay. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
It looks like we've got a publicly down the list, the last thing.
Right.
You see that last thing?
It just has to record how many
Carrie
ayes and
said-
noes.
No, we're just,
She didn't have.
no, I just asked her. She said we didn't. Can I have a motion?
I make a motion.
Second.
Second? Any discussion?
Sam, do you want to give it 1 second on what a TAN is?
Unfortunately, the way the tax collection works in Suffolk County, taxes are paid in January and in May. We need money in September to operate the school district. So we borrow money on the open market in anticipation of receiving tax money later on in the year. We wait as long as possible. And we have actually, with Deirdre's help, for the first time, we divided the borrowing into 2 parts to repay as much of it up front as possible to keep our interest cost as low as possible.
Thank you.
And this is,
JP,
this is
Roll call vote.
Listen, I just asked Carrie, do you want, you said, no, we don't need it, right?
No, that's it. I just took out it's not a roll call. It's just a vote. You don't have to do a roll call.
We don't have to do a roll
No.
call.
No, I asked. Good. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 16, this is, I'm not gonna read this one. This is for the repair reserve that we discussed earlier and that Sam gave a presentation on. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion, I think we've already done that, but if anybody has a question?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 17, looks like another one I'm not gonna read. Let's see, recommend that the board approve the following resolution, whereas the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District is desirous in funding the fund balance. It's our fund balance for all of, where the money goes. You can, it's all posted in the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion.
Second.
Second? Anybody have a discussion or want to bring anything up? No, good. All in favor?
These are, just call it vote, just want to be clear, these are estimates.
Yeah.
As up
And
to,
what you would talk about this earlier.
I think it's final, just want to be very clear.
Yeah, no, definitely. Did I get a motion?
You just have to wrap it up.
On favor?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 18, recommend the board approve the following resolution, whereas the regulations of New York State Education Department govern the use of extra classroom activity account. And whereas the East Hampton Union Free School District has been advised by its internal auditors that certain changes need to be made in the extra classroom activity account to be in compliance with said regulations. This is what we talked about before. So this is where everything, you can read everything in here. It's this will go on. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion. Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 19, recommended the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District hereby authorizes budgetary increase to the following budget line, the 2022-23 budget, in the amount not to exceed $313,917.60 to be offset by the reserve for employee benefit accrual liability reserve pursuant to General Municipal Law, Section 6P. Is that a motion?
Make a motion. Second.
Second, discussion? Thank you.
This is how we're paying the retirees. We're
Right.
pulling from,
It's not extra, it's just moving from.
no,
one
we're moving
section
from the
to another.
reserve.
Right, good, and this is why we have the reserve. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 20, recommend the board approve the following budget transfers. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Second, discussion, pretty well laid out there. It's again, not addition to the budget, just transferring from one to another. Can I, any further discussion? You good? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we have no old business, new business.
Yeah, I'll be quick so you can end the meeting. High school tennis courts, I think we brought this up publicly a while ago. They need to be repaired due to cracking on the installation of last year. It's unacceptable to us. Through Kathy, we worked with Land Tech. They wanted to try to determine what happened. They don't know what happened, so they're replacing the whole court. That's going to start this summer, probably July 5th. We will be shutting down the courts for the foreseeable future at that point. So we won't have a security issue on the courts because they will not be used.
Oh, you never know.
Yeah.
And again, you're right.
Security,
We'll leave, yeah.
people will play on.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're taking the nets down. We gotta do it now.
Good. Anything else under new business? All right, public comment? LTV, do we have anything for public comment?
We have no one on the line for public comment.
Anybody in the audience have a public comment? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a
Second?
motion. Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thanks, everybody, for
Thank
hanging in there. I know it's a little long, but.
It's just.
We have good.